While the major supermarkets continue to line their pockets and have their huge profitability, careful Leah, you'll get sued, the number of businesses closing sadly continue to climb as the last of many of their reserves dry up. Data from Centric shows the number of retail businesses being liquidated was up 36% in July compared to the same time a year earlier. Hospitality liquidations up 27%, 2.2 times more likely to be liquidated than businesses as a whole. Transport liquidations up 35%. And construction 9%. Chief Executive of Retail New Zealand is Carolyn Young, and she joins me. Hello, Carolyn. Great to talk to you again.
Carolyn, thanks for having me. It's nice to be back.
Well, it's not great news, is it? I mean, what are the driving factors behind these growing numbers?
Yeah, look, it is really tough out there for retail at the moment, and you know, what we know is that we've had 8 quarters of declining sales, so that's 2 years of declining sales. Now, if you've got declining sales in your business, you've likely used up a lot of your cash flow and your spare cash, and so if you've got no cash, then it's going to be really hard to stay open. We do a regular survey of our members every quarter, and the Retail Radar survey that we did at the end of June, we had 71% of retailers didn't meet their sales targets in that second quarter of the year, and 42% of businesses said they didn't think they'd survive the next 12 months. So it's not surprising when we're hearing that directly from members, and some of the reasons they gave us was that they didn't have enough cash to buy forward stock. And if you don't have enough cash, or you can't find another line of credit and you can't buy stock, you can't stay open because you've got nothing to sell. So it is a really pinch point. Whilst we're seeing, you know, some good changes to the economy, inflation feels like it's coming under control, interest rates are coming down, we've seen some small tax breaks. It will take time for that to filter through into consumer confidence, into people's wallets, so that they do feel more confident to go out and buy. And that's the critical factor, that lag time between when we really turn the corner on the economy and when businesses will recover.
Because I thought about, especially with SMEs, I mean, because they do make up the majority of our businesses in the country, don't they, Carolyn? And what do they do first when they see things are tough? Because I've got a very dear friend, she's got a small business and she's really, really struggling. But what I find incredible is, you know, she won't lay off staff, but she'll go without paying herself. And because she will do all she can. So with these smaller businesses, do they go through, what do they do first? Is it they use their line of credit first and then borrow? How do they do it? I suppose it's different with each business, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely different with every business and depends on the size of business, its location, who its customers are. You know, in these sort of times, we know that the average sale price has dropped, so it's about thinking, can I get a new line of stock in that's at a lower price point that people would come in and buy, get more people into the store? Is my marketing strategy working? You know, these days your marketing's on digital platforms, making sure that you can segment out your database and really target your audience as well for the products that are needed. Make sure that your staff are really attentive and that they can provide really great customer service, because customer service drives sales. About 70% of sales are driven by customer service. And it's a real catch cry between, you know, being able to borrow additional funds and paying yourself, not paying yourself, because if you can't make payments in your personal life at home on your mortgage and your petrol and your food and your electricity at home, then you're no good to the business either. So it is a balance around, because most business loans are guaranteed against someone's house. So it is really tough out there, and I know that businesses do forego paying themselves to keep their staff on as long as they can, and it's a fine balance to get it right. You don't want to go too far so that, you know, the business topples over, but sometimes you do have to make difficult calls. And, you know, if you're anything like myself, I know, you know, most people that I know or have spoken to in the last 3 or 4 months either have been impacted by a restructure at their work or know someone or a family member has been, because it's right across the country, across all sectors. It's not just government, it's accounting firms, law firms, as you mentioned in the intro, it's the builders, it's hospitality, all of those businesses are restructuring. Yeah. So there's a lot of people earning less.
Of course, but I kind of saw, though, the figures were hardest at retail, followed by hospitality. So does that mean that it's, for me, at that kind of point, it's all kind of the discretional cash spending, it's not there anymore, or it's gone down?
Yeah.
And
so the majority of retail is discretionary. That's exactly right. Yeah. And because consumer confidence is low, it's low because they're struggling to make their payment of their critical expenses, which are their rent or mortgage, the fuel, the phone, the electricity, the food on the table, school, any costs with schools and childcare and those sorts of things. So they either have to do that, and then, if people don't have any cash left, their confidence around doing anything else is low. They're not going to go to the shops, and they're not going to go out for lunch or grab a coffee or any of those sorts of things because they don't have the spare cash. And that's partly why retail and hospitality, and then it rolls through into construction because, people will stop looking at doing renovations or putting up a new fence or whatever it might be. They'll delay those items, and they can delay them quite quickly. A builder might have a pipeline of work waiting for them, and then when the economy turns, they haven't started, so the client might decide not to go ahead. And that's why those three areas are often at the forefront of closures and liquidations, because business can dry up really quickly.